Mr. Pound for pound number one, Oleksandr Usyk against the former WBC heavyweight champion of the world, the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. What a fight! I can't wait. I mean, the first fight, if it goes for anything, I think it's just going to be just as good as the first fight. Um, we'll go on. We'll explore what we all think is going to happen. But I think there's five outcomes in this fight, and I can see all five outcomes actually happening in this fight. I'm really excited for it. Um, like I said, me and Broderick were lucky enough to be there for the first fight in Riyadh. Amazing fight. It was so much drama, so much happening, so much brilliance shown from each of the fighters. And like I said, I think expect to see more of the same in this rematch.
Yeah.
Jazz, what do you reckon? How do you see this one going? What are your thoughts?
Oh man, it's a tough one to call again, isn't it? It's just like it's the stuff of dreams. These matchups, isn't it? It's what you want to see as a boxing fan, whether you're a casual or whether you're really into the sport. It's it's unbelievable what these two can put on, the kind of spectacle they can put on, the kind of performances that they put on every time they go into a ring. I don't think any of them really have a bad performance. Okay, they Ngannou fight for Tyson or whatever, but let's just, that was more of an exhibition for me to watch. But when they actually step into the ring and there's something on the line, right? Both of them,
Step up.
you think that there's no way above the ceiling that they're at now, but they're just going into the attic and they're going more higher and higher and higher, and it's just unbelievable. I don't know how to call. I've called it, but I can see it going a different way. Obviously, I've called Usyk round 9 TKO,
Wow.
but
Isn't that the
I
same round that you got?
yeah, it
It's
was
the
around
exact
nine.
same round, yeah.
But I think Tyson hurts him early. I do see that kind of happening where, okay, maybe not stumble him or whatnot, but I think he does connect with a heavy shot early on, which kind of throws Usyk back, and I think Usyk kind of grows into the fight later and gets a TKO in round 9 due to, I think Tyson's gonna come in heavy. I do see that, and
Do you think
I
it's
think
gonna
if he
be
goes further than round 5 6, I think you'll see that tank starting to
the
empty.
gas? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a question which I wanted to ask you. We'll ask everyone and open it up to the fans as well. You mentioned you think Tyson's going to come in heavy. Um, Based on, let's say his more recent rematches, Tyson Fury's more evidently the Deontay Wilder fight. Um, Prior to the rematch, going into the fight, saying what he's going to do, he said he's going to knock Deontay Wilder out. Nobody believed it at the time. Blah blah blah. He came in heavier even before the fight at the weigh-in. I was like, oh, he's heavy, but he's not going to go in for the knockout. Blah 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 blah. For this fight, let's say immediately after, maybe not immediately after, but soon after the fight, when people were asking Tyson Fury questions about what you can do differently in the rematch, and he said this time in the rematch I'm going to make sure I knock him out. That's what he was saying closely
Yeah.
after the fight.
Yeah.
However, more recently, when people ask him the question now, he's saying he's not going to change much. He's going to do more of the same and make sure he doesn't get knocked out. So Tyson Fury hasn't been one. We all know he plays his mind games, but he hasn't been one to kind of hide and kind of he contradicts himself in different ways. When it comes to game plan and fighting, he hasn't been one to kind of hide behind the bush in a certain
Yeah.
to phrase that correctly. But I think this time it's interesting because he's kind of changed what he said first. So it's like almost as if people in his camp are saying Tyson, we need to do. Maybe he had an idea of how he thinks he should win the fight. Maybe now he's getting closer to fight, getting closer to his camp, getting closer to speaking to maybe his coach, people in his team. They're saying, Tyson, maybe you need to do this. Maybe we should do this. So maybe he's actually, in his mind, he's sure about how he thinks he beats Usyk. Maybe his camp are maybe not so sure of how they beat Usyk. That's what I think.
Do you think it's the first time in Tyson Fury's career where he's unsure how he wins this fight, and
No.
he's still trying, struggling to come to terms of how he would win this fight?
I don't think so. I think Tyson Fury is a very confident individual.
I
in
think
himself.
confidence
And I
definitely.
think
I'm not taking confidence,
No,
but
no.
do you think that this is not damaged his confidence, but tested his confidence?
I think it's tested his confidence to a degree, but I think he, as an individual, if you take him away from Sugar Hill, Andy Lee, whoever's in his camp, his old man, whoever, like I said, after the fight, he was sure how he was going to beat Usyk. He said, I'm going to make sure I knock him out. That's how I have to win this fight. But up until recently, that's where the kind of, I don't want to call it doubt, but the kind of contradiction in what he said earlier has come in. And I think that isn't coming from himself. I genuinely think that's coming from his team.
Another interesting fact a thing I've kind of discovered about Fury when I've looked at his career as well. A lot of people say he does better in the rematches with opponents. I think Tyson Fury is so tactically smart in game plans against who he's going to fight. Everyone he stepped in the ring with that he's beaten, I think of high caliber, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. He stepped in the ring with them before, whether it be sparring or fighting. Like Vladimir Klitschko, we know he knew Vladimir Klitschko's style, being a previous sparring partner of him. Deontay Wilder, the first fight, it was the first time they were in the ring together. You know, he's testing the waters, he wanted to see it. And then the second fight, he knew how to beat Deontay Wilder. Dylan White, he was previous sparring partners with Dylan White. Derek Chisora, he'd been in there 3 times with. Oleksandr Usyk, he's never shared the ring with Oleksandr Usyk, so maybe this is, I say, different to what I was saying previously. Maybe he's found a new sense of confidence, thinking, I know how to beat this, as he says, this little middleweight. I actually know how to do it this time. Maybe I was relying too much on my slick boxing skills, trying to put on a performance. I just know I can steamroll this guy.
Where do you think this recent talk's coming from then?
I think the guy generally has bipolar disorder. I think his mind and his opinions does bounce around from point to point. I think suffering your first losses as a boxer, right? You can't really explain what it does to you unless you've experienced it. None of us have. None of us are boxers. So coming to terms with sense and reasoning as to what he's saying, I think he wakes up every morning with a different mindset and a different rationale to what he says. I think deep down he knows how he can beat Usyk. It's just a matter of translating that into words. Sometimes you don't need to say something to prove you can do it. I think in his head he knows what he needs to do. He doesn't need to say it to a camera. Whatever he says, it could be different on a Monday to a Friday, right? I think in his head on the night, Tyson Fury would know how to beat Oleksandr Usyk, and if he can't beat him, then Oleksandr Usyk, I already think he is the better man, but it's set in stone. He is the better man.
Yeah, I think before we go to Amo, because I really want to hear what Amo says about Tyson Fury about this fight. I think the way he took that loss surprised me. I didn't think he would have taken it well. I think he took that loss really well.
You think so?
I think
Except
so.
for the
I think
Happy
so.
New Year.
Yeah, okay,
I think
yeah,
that was
that's
literally post-fight, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was right
post-fight
after the fight.
emotion.
He's been in a
Yeah,
brawl. I mean,
yeah,
come on,
emotion,
he was hurt bad. Do you know what I mean? And I've said it on the
He
podcast
was,
before.
it's
I
true.
don't agree with interviewing the fighters after they've been wobbled or hurt
That's
during
right.
the fight, right?
I
Because you don't
agree.
know what they're going to come out with. But I think when he looks back at that fight, I think he's taken it really well.
I disagree.
And what he was saying in an interview, I know Tyson likes to play his mind games and stuff like that. He's always been like that. But where he said, I don't really need to change anything because I would have won the fight if it wasn't for that round 9. And to a certain degree, I probably do agree with him. If he didn't wobble in that round, or if he didn't had a really bad round, the judges probably would have given it to Tyson.
Yeah. Well, he would have.
And you would see why, right? I think the thing with going into this rematch, I think why we're seeing a slightly different Tyson is, I think he's put a lot more respect on Usyk in this rematch than he did stepping in with him now. I don't think he gave Wilder that kind of respect in the second fight, especially the third fight. No way. I think he's still giving Usyk that respect where he knows what's in front of him, and I think Tyson Fury's got everything in his power to overcome Usyk. I'm not saying he won't, he can't do that, and Usyk's outright gonna win. I think if anyone can do it, I think Tyson could do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I think going on his kind of mind frame and stuff like that, I think he took the loss really well. I don't think he backed down from it. I mean, he did mention, look, he was a better fighter on the night. Usyk, he got the win, and congratulations to the guy. I mean, what else can you say?
Well, why? Sorry to cut you off, Jazz. Were you carrying on?
No, go.
No, I was just going to ask, why do you think why do you disagree?
So
why do you think
before we got into Amor, the reason why I think he didn't take it as well, I'm not going to say he didn't take it well. I think he could have taken it better, or took it better. You look at, I'm not doing comparisons between boxers here, but I think taking a loss well is Dimitri Bivol is a good example of that, and taking a loss bad, or Deontay Wilder is a good example of that, right?
Two extremes there.
Two extremes
Yeah.
there. I think Tyson Fury's pushing more towards the Wilder side of the spectrum, only because the different reasonings he's giving, I know I was touching upon like the bipolar disorder and the way his brain works from it's unconventional, but that just mirrors his brilliance. I think 1 minute he's saying, I'm not talking about post-fight press. I think he's saying that they favoured Usyk because I don't know what's his original reason, because they're knocked down, right? Then he's saying, the IBF, sorry, they were judges and they hate me. Then he's saying, I'm going to steamroll him. I can only win by knockout. They're never going to give me the decision. Now he's saying, I can just do the same thing and I can outpoint him. He's changing his mind. So I think he's he's accepted the loss, but I don't think he's rationalized the loss. I think he could have taken it a bit better. However, he has accepted it. But that's just, what, I mentioned Deontay Wilder. I love Deontay Wilder, and I don't care if he's taken the loss like a crazy man. For me, I think that's just a sign of someone that's just born to succeed. If you can't accept failure, right, as bad as a trait that is, it just shows how crazy your drive is.
100%.
And for all athletes, you need some sort. Are you telling me Dimitri Bivol going to bed at night and saying, I can beat him in the rematch? He's going to bed at night thinking, I won that fight. I know I won the fight, and next time I'm going to prove I won that fight. So yeah, I think that's one point about Tyson Fury.
I understand that.
But Amo, go for it, man. Speak to this.
With this fight here, I mean, look, first and foremost, I agree with the points that you guys have made. I mean, right now, like, what's happened in the aftermath of the fight, Fury has come across with a lot of things that don't make sense, and maybe it is still emotions. But I think I agree with Gurmukh that I think the way that he switched his tone about how he's going to handle this rematch, I think there is going to be a corner influence right here, the team influence. And one thing I'm kind of hoping is that in this particular fight, one thing he does sort out is his corner, because in that last fight we saw you can't have too many clashing personalities in here. And one person, I mean, as much as I love Big John Fury, he's great. I don't think he should be in that corner for this fight.
Do you think so?
I don't think he's
so.
gonna be right. I think it's only one coach.
He's apparently said it's the same team.
No, Andy Lee's come out and said there's going to be less voices in the
Is
corner.
it?
Yeah, because there was too many in that last fight.
I know it might be a bit, not many people probably agree with me.
I agree with
I actually think that Big John Fury is good for Tyson Fury. I agree. We touched upon fathers and their sons. We talked about Teofimo's dad. We talked about David Haney's dad. You can see the same example with Daniel Dubois and his dad. I think John Fury, he kind of instills some sort of success in Tyson in his mindset. I know a lot of Tyson's biggest wins came when John Fury wasn't there, right? So he still, of course, he can be successful without John.
I think he takes a lot of heat off Tyson during fight week.
I think the issue is a lot of people like to look at the corner and blame X, Y, and Z when a fighter lost. Look at Anthony Joshua and Ben Davison, and then you look at what happened a couple of weeks later when Ben Davison's tactics created this crazy knockout. Bobby Wardley managed. No one's talking about how great Ben Davison was the man behind that. I think Tyson Fury lost not due to the corner work and 100 voices. I think Tyson Fury is that type of guy that, as respectful I am for all these trainers, I think he doesn't. There's a very few fighters that actually, I won't say don't need a trainer, but the use of a coach to them is of a lesser impact compared to other boxers. I think there's a lot of boxers out there. Like, I think Floyd Mayweather was one. I think who else? Tell me some names. Floyd Mayweather was one. I think Tyson Fury is one. I think Oleksandr Usyk is one to some extent. I think Thingy does a great job for him. The guy that owns Rival, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah,
that's a bit tough one to be fair. All I can really think of boxers that do follow their
maybe it's just Floyd and Tyson and something.
I think I want to just go back a bit there when you mentioned about the corner and John Fury's unfair criticism. I think obviously John Fury is a very rash individual. When he says things, everyone notices what he says. I agree with you. I don't think he lost the fight due to the corner work. But if we are going to talk about the corner work, a man who I respect very highly, and I think he's a great coach, he's done great for Tyson and other fighters as well, as Andy Lee.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, his corner work was poor in that fight. Some of the things he was saying to Tyson.
He was telling him he's winning the fight.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that. So if we're going to talk about the corner fight, let's speak about what Sugar Hill was saying. Let's speak about what Andy Lee was saying. Let's just not focus on what Big John Fury was saying.
Yeah.
But I agree with you completely. I think that's irrelevant because I don't think it was down to the corner work why Tyson lost that fight.
I think with me in that particular case, I wouldn't say it came purely down to that. I just think
It's a factor.
it's a factor in the sense where when you got too many people giving you like clashing information in a fight which isn't clear cut. You know what I'm saying? It's a very competitive fight. Nobody's really nobody's really on top right now, especially in Fury at that moment in time. You know, you just keep on getting bombarded with different information from different people. It's a bit overpowering. I think that in that kind of sense, you just kind of want somebody who really has your best interests at heart that can give you the best advice going into the next round. I was definitely not the major factor, because what the major factor was, really, if you want to talk about it, it was that knockdown. Round 9, basically, because what I noticed in that fight was, and I think my issue now when I look at it in retrospect with the general public, is that the way they made it out to be, it's like, it seems like as though whenever Tyson Fury's riding on a high, everybody likes him, but then when they kind of want to also see him lose, and then when he did eventually lose, they pretty much assassinated his character. He's pretty much written off in boxing right now, so it's a little bit unfair in my opinion.
But you know, guys, I just want to ask about the fight, because obviously I was
Yeah.
there and I rewatched it as well.
Yeah.
Everybody says, well, I'm not saying everybody, but the general consensus was Fury won all the early rounds. I actually
Yeah.
gave Usyk the first 2 rounds.
That's how I saw it.
I gave Usyk that as well.
I personally
maybe
believe-
first. I need to watch it again. But
So
I'm
I've got it on hand. I've got my scorecard. This is the scorecard where I rewatched the fight, not live. So
Yeah.
I've given rounds 1 and 2 to Usyk.
Yeah.
Then I'll give it rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6 to Tyson.
Yeah.
Then I'll give it rounds 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to Usyk, of which, of course, round 9 was a 10-8 round. Then obviously nobody can dispute round 12 was Fury's round. So overall, I've gone 115, 112 Fury, Usyk. So it was a close.
I had the exact same scorecard. I had the exact same scorecard. I believe that because in the rounds that in that middle portion there, the momentum swung
shifted, didn't it?
right into Fury's favor, and I was like, look, this is it. And those rounds that he was winning, he was clearly winning them. It's not like he never had any success, but it's just that he couldn't carry it on. And there was that moment where it was a sharp decline, and I think it started mainly in round 8, where it's like, wait, why is he kind of almost like taking a break at this moment in time? And then he took a break a little bit too long, because then what happened in round 9? Now, just from like my key thing to basically point out there is that it's not that far-fetched to think that Tyson Fury could win this fight. In that last fight, it wasn't that. I mean, it was literally a split decision loss. It wasn't a knockout or nothing like this. I mean, though you could imagine that if that fight was, the knockdown was allowed to be done to completion, basically, it could have been stopped. Or if like Usyk did get an extra shot on there, and like and the ref wanted to see Fury on the ground, both gloves touched the ground before he ruled it a knockdown, then it probably would have been a clean knockout. But with all that stuff aside, from what we did get in the fight, we got 12 rounds of boxing, and in my opinion, right, it was a close fight. It was a good fight, because even those early rounds that Usyk did win, it wasn't like as though they were landslide. It was just that he was the busier man, and he pressed the issue in the fight. And then when, like, Fury, when the momentum swung in his favor, he, in my opinion, was clearly winning the rounds. That's clearly a Fury round. But like I said, then came that decline. But then came the final round where that recovery comes in, and then he literally started to box the way that he should have been boxing well earlier in the fight. That's why I'm thinking, and we talk about how he has this ability to come back better in his rematches. Wilder is a good example. So is the John McDermott fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He came back and said, "You thought I lost. Okay, let me literally put the full stop on this, and we never talk about it again."
You know what it is?
You know.
I think there's a bit of if you're looking purely on facts, I agree with you in terms of how he comes back strong in the rematches.
Yeah.
But I think there's a little bit of a myth behind that. I think if you go back to the John McDermott fight, it wasn't an immediate rematch. I agree. I think he lost the fight. I do think he lost that fight against John McDermott.
Yeah.
But I think it was down to more so complacency and overlooking his opponent, which is understandable. It happens a lot throughout boxing, and it will continue to happen going forward in boxing. I think if you look at his fight with Vladimir Klitschko, in my opinion, that's the second or third best performance ever by a British boxer overseas.
Yeah.
Obviously, what happened after that fight happened. Tyson, started fighting his own demons outside of boxing. Rematch didn't happen. There's a strong case to say that Vladimir Klitschko could have won that rematch.
I actually agree.
Yeah.
I don't agree. I see a massive
and,
case of that.
And then we go into the Deontay Wilder fight. So the first Deontay Wilder fight, it's basically the turning point into Tyson Fury's elevation to superstardom. That coming up from that knockdown around 12, getting a deal with Top Rank, becoming a star in America, etc., becoming champion, being Deontay held up in the second fight. But in round 12, that fight could have been called off straight away because his eyes were closed.
Yeah.
Tyson
Any other
Fury's
ref-
lawyers will go.
any
Any
other
other
ref
ref,
could've-
I guarantee
Yeah.
you would have just
waived
waved
it.
that off.
Yeah.
Now, I give Tyson Fury credit because when he got back up, he had people in his corner. He had Ben Davison, he had Ricky Hatton, and he had the great Freddie Roach.
Yeah.
And if you listen to what these three guys were saying, two of them, Ricky Hatton and Freddie Roach, are saying, you can hurt. Before the 12th round, they were saying, Tyson, you can hurt him. Stick it on him. Ben Davison was saying, stay away. Obviously, I'm not taking anything away from Ben. Ben had a game plan. As a coach, he was sticking by his game plan. And it was working for Fury. If he didn't get knocked down the 12th, he would win the fight. Yeah. But Freddie Roach, Ricky Hatton, Tyson Fury, these guys know boxing more than Ben Davison. With all due respect to Ben, I respect Ben, but I'm just trying to say those three minds outweigh Ben Davison's mind, in my opinion. So that confidence was instilled in him in that round 12. I'm not trying to take anything away from that second fight with Deontay Wilder. As I said, it's the second or third. It's up there with the Klitschko win for Fury. But I'm just trying to say, like, the blueprint to beat Wilder, Fury kind of laid it down in that 12th round. So he knew what to do in the rematch.
Yeah.
So I'm saying now, for the Usyk fight, there isn't a blueprint to beat Usyk. We're saying Tyson comes in better in the rematch. But it's like, well, okay, what's he going to do? Is he going to come forward and beat Usyk? Usyk's going to stay on the back foot, wait for him to come in, counter punch him. There's not a blueprint to beat Usyk.
Here's a good question for you guys. We're talking a lot about Tyson Fury and what he may do. How does Usyk approach this fight? Do you think do you think he chases Fury down again, or do you think he makes it a typical Alexander fight?
I think he does the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think
walks-
he needs to change anything, to be honest.
Really? Because
No, I don't think
I
he
agree.
does. I think
it could be different.
I think
honestly
even
think it could be
if Fury
different.
does something different, I think Usyk's good enough to adjust.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about Usyk's. He walked into that first fight with the intention as, I'm coming after you, Fury. I'm not going to
think-
leave you alone.
Yeah.
Do you? I know he's saying it again, but do you think? I'm just
I
going
think
back
he's
to
coming the
Tony
same way.
Bellew. Tony Bellew said something very interesting on his podcast. He said, "Listen, Usyk could win this fight in two ways: in spectacular fashion by chasing Tyson Fury down and beating him, or he could win it in a very boring Usyk style fashion where he lets Fury come to him. He makes him miss. He makes him pay. He counter punches him, and it's just overall you could call it a boring fight, but it's a unanimous Usyk win. I think Usyk, if he takes that approach, I think he could win this fight very, very easily. But I don't know if he will. I don't know what approach he would take.
I think there's a key thing to factor in this fight as well. I think in the first fight, although Oleksandr Usyk was a unified champion, Tyson Fury was the head of the show. He was the champion, and when you come into the fight like that, you've got a kind of competitive advantage going into the fight, and that competitive advantage was fulfilled in round 9 when the fight wasn't called off. If Tyson Fury wasn't the main event, the headliner of the show, and the roles were reversed, that would have been a wave off. Now Tyson Fury is not a world champion; he's coming to collect the belts off Oleksandr Usyk. So I know he says it with tongue in cheek, but there's a little bit of truth when he says, "I'm gonna have to knock him out to win this fight," because if it is close,
Yeah, he ain't got no belt. Yeah,
you're not gonna win the unified heavyweight champion of the world by a close fight. The judge is going to give that to Usyk.
Look at the stats.
So when back to your question about if Usyk's going to do anything different, I agree with Jazz. I think no. I think he's going to wait for Fury's game plan. Whatever Fury's doing, he'll adapt to that and fight.
I think
accordingly.
the
I
question
agree.
for
I
this
think
fight,
that-
and I'd be interested to see what the viewers think about this. How does Tyson Fury win this fight? What game plan does he have to put together to win this fight? I think he has to put a game plan together, whereas Usyk doesn't really have to. He's probably look. Let's be honest. Usyk's top draw. He's not a sausage.
Yeah.
Right. He's gonna have watched that fight 10 times over, and where he's been successful, he'll just grow on where he's been successful and how to do that better. That's all he needs to do in his mind. If I was Usyk, that's what I would do. Considering what Fury's going to come in as, I think for Fury to win this fight, he has to come in a little bit heavier and he has to hurt Usyk early. I think that's the only way he's going to win this fight. If it goes longer than 7-8 rounds, Usyk, I think it's Usyk's to
Do you
lose.
think Fury's conditioning for this fight will be of a lesser degree then if he's
I don't
coming in
think he's
heavier?
got a problem with kind of conditioning. I don't think Fury's ever had.
I don't think Fury's got a
with it.
problem conditioning, but I think when you're in the ring with Usyk, everyone has a problem conditioning.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
mentally draining and physically draining Usyk can be on you. I think you saw that definitely with Tyson. When Usyk's, he's feinting, he's hitting you to the body, then he's hitting you to the head, and then he's tricking you with that overhand left, and it's definitely confusing. And I think
then the question comes to if anyone can overcome that, it's Tyson Fury, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
true.
If anyone can,
If
yeah.
anyone can put a game plan together to overcome that and stop Usyk in his tracks, it's Tyson Fury.
Where do
right?
we think
Wait,
about? We speak. Sorry, Emma. I was
Yeah.
just. I was. I'll come on to that in a minute. I was just wanted to ask about the game plan because you made a very interesting point earlier in terms of when you said that Tyson Fury doesn't really need a coach. So where do you think? Because I genuinely think people in Tyson Fury's camp are telling him things about Usyk now. I genuinely think that's where that shift in voices come from in terms of what he's saying, how he's going to win the fight. So I think in my mind, I don't know if it's Andy Lee, Sugar Hill, his old man, whoever, people are saying things to Tyson about how he goes to win this fight. So I think Team Fury are building a game plan for this fight. So how do you guys see their personalities in his corner? How, do you think Sugar Hill, Andy Lee, or John Fury are putting together a game, or is that just me?
I think
coming out and
I think
nothing? What do
I
you
don't
guys
think they're putting anything together. I think Sugar Hill and Andy Lee and Tyson are discussing stuff. I think John Fury may have a bit of a sprinkle here and there. I think I don't mean to mimic Simon Jordan, but I think they've actually put a muzzle on him at this point. And I think he'll kind of come more to life when camp kind of properly starts.
I think you're right. I think the game plan for them is how to exploit that uppercut more effectively.
Yes, and the
Yeah.
body.
How to
And the
set it up.
body
But then
shots.
the issue is
Yeah.
the other side as well, where how much success did Fury have, Usyk have to the body of Fury?
Yeah.
His body was just there to be
Yeah.
hit. I mean,
Yeah.
we can look at punch stats. Oh, I got punch stats here.
Yeah.
Punches thrown, Tyson Fury 496, Usyk 407. Punches landed, Tyson Fury 157, Usyk 170. So punch success. Sorry, Fury was 31%, but Usyk 41.8%. I mean, I'm a bit off topic here, but I think it's kind of good to kind of go through this. I want to test you guys on this. Who do you think has, out of the heavyweight division, has the highest jabs landed percentage wise out right now?
Right now?
Okay, I'm gonna say.
Anthony Joshua.
Fury.
What are you saying, Jazz? This is
Usyk.
Usyk. Okay,
Is it?
it's Anthony Joshua.
Anthony Joshua's got a great jab. let's
Okay,
be honest
who's
with it.
second?
Tyson.
Fury.
What are you saying?
I'm gonna say Fury as well.
You ready?
Actually, no, it's Wilder.
Deontay Wilder.
Yes. Go on. I'm getting good with this shit. I should be fucking paying money on
Deontay
it.
Wilder. Did you know
Yeah, but
that
how
out of
effective is
highest
his
jabs landed?
How effective is Deontay Wilder?
Now listen to these stats.
Listen,
Listen to these stats, right? Highest jabs landed percentage-wise, highest power punches landed percentage-wise, opponent power punch connect percentage being the lowest, so avoiding them. Opponent's total connect percentage lowest, so again being connected. All these stats, right? Oleksandr Usyk's in none of them.
But he's still
And this is I'm just saying stats-wise, so stats don't make everything, but Usyk is in none of them.
That's very interesting.
That's
man.
very interesting, don't you think?
I think it's
Wow,
interesting.
I wouldn't have thought Wilder would be on the list.
The stats, like I said, the stats can only give you one side of an argument. The other side of the argument is, okay, they've got those statistic jabs. How successful were they in landing those shots? What were they achieving in the fight?
Yeah.
You know, what were they achieving in the fight?
Yeah, I agree totally. I think, as we were saying, you said there was 5 outcomes this could go, and I agree that they all could go. I know I've said quite a lot about mentally draining and Fury's mindset and blah, blah, blah. I still think Tyson Fury could stop Oleksandr Usyk early or late. Maybe early, I don't know. I think he could hurt him early. I think he could stop him. I think he could win by decision. And I think Usyk could win by knockout and stop it and decision. And I also think, like you were saying, it could be a draw as well.
Which one you going for?
What's that? You said it was a
Which
draw.
one you going for?
Yeah.
Which one you going for?
I'll tell you my full decision
Yeah,
after
yeah.
you guys.
No,
Okay.
I think I cut you off earlier, bro. What were you going to say?
I mean, to be fair, one other thing I wanted to mention is this. One of the reasons as to why Fury was quite effective in the Klitschko fight, and obviously we're giving a lot of props to Oleksandr Usyk and his ability to be able to throw, feints, right? But Tyson Fury is also a very fidgety fighter as well. At his best, he's always constantly moving, and he throws a lot of feints too, which is one of the reasons as to why he's such a successful fighter. I just wanted to put that out there that Tyson Fury has those abilities too. A lot of the boxing ability that we see in Usyk can also be reflected in Fury as well. Also, Fury's able to switch hit, which you don't usually see. Usyk switching over to the orthodox stance, but Fury's quite good both in southpaw and orthodox.
Yeah.
My issue is that obviously there's been a recent run basically where Fury, I feel like, has been completely complacent. I mean, this probably started from around the time when he was headlining WrestleMania or something.
I think it's
right.
Actually, I was going to say
he got a bit too caught up in this.
Do you think that might happen with Usyk now? No, being infused with the
no,
Rock.
I don't-
and
I
that.
don't think so.
Like Usyk's too
bloodline.
serious about. Yeah,
he's too serious. He's too
Usyk's
serious.
too serious with boxing, and that's one of the reasons why you gotta rate him. He's the best
Rock.
boxer alive, right? But what I do want to say is that going forward with like this Fury fight, just to summarize, like Fury has a lot of skills in his tank, and I feel like as though when people compare him to like these like the way people are judging him right now after this Usyk loss, what I think we need to clarify is that yeah, he's had a bad run on form. But I think if he comes back with that same level of intensity that he's always had, and I don't think it's gone from him. I know the Wilder fights did take a lot out of him, but I personally believe, and just to summarize, I do actually think that Fury, I'm going to go pull for him. I'm thinking Fury's going to win this rematch.
Ooh.
And if he comes in serious, he comes in with a little bit extra weight, and he forces the pressure the way that he did with Steve Cunningham, right? Again, another good, former cruiserweight champion. Small, 6'3", just like Usyk. If he comes in like that and he puts the weight on him, I think
How
honestly,
do you think Fury wins?
how does he win? What you want my result?
Prediction
Let's do a prediction each.
A prediction each. I reckon it's going to be a late stoppage
from Tyson Fury.
from Tyson Fury.
Jazz?
It's going to be a big upset.
I've got Usyk round 90 KO.
Rob Joe.
I'm exact the same as Amar. I think it's going to be a light, but I'm going to say late controversial stoppage. I think
Oof.
Usyk could have carried on.
Oh no, don't say that, bro. I don't want no controversy.
It's going to be
this one, bro.
controversy,
We
and
need
then
a
it's going to be a
The
trilogy.
trilogy has to happen. It's just
Right.
it's going to be
That's
massive.
classic.
I'm gonna go for unanimous decision for Oleksandr Usyk,
Yeah.
and I think that brings us to the end. Let us know your thoughts, predictions for a stacked card we have on December 21st. Let us know who you agree with and anything we've said today, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned. Thanks for listening.